Welcome to today's award presentation. I am First Sergeant Garrett Johnson, and it is my distinct honor to be your Master of Ceremonies for this award presentation. For Sergeant Chasen Brown, a member of Charlie Battery, 2nd Battalion, 222nd Field Artillery, and one of my own soldiers, will be awarded the Utah Medal of Valor for his stunning display of heroism on October 1st, 2017. I would first like to take a moment to recognize the members of our official party and distinguished guests. The Governor of the State of Utah, the Honorable Governor Gary R. Herbert. Senator Mitt Romney. The Adjutant General for the Utah National Guard, Major General Michael J. Turley. The Senior Enlisted Leader for the Utah National Guard, State Command Sergeant Major Spencer D. Nilsson. I would also like to thank other distinguished attendees in the audience, family and friends in attendance today, and those joining us via live stream. On October 1st, 2017, then Specialist Brown had planned on having a fun and enjoyable evening with two of his close friends while attending the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas, Nevada. Little did Specialist Brown know that he and other concert attendees would receive a hell of gunfire that would become the deadliest mass shooting committed by an individual in the Western Hemisphere. Without thought for his own personal safety, Sergeant Brown jumped into action, rendering first aid and evacuation of several people that had been severely wounded. For his actions at the concert, Sergeant Brown will be awarded the Utah Medal of Valor from Governor Herbert. The Utah Medal of Valor is the highest state award that a Utah National Guard service member can receive or be awarded. It is an award, that only those who have demonstrated extreme valor can receive. The Utah Medal of Valor may be awarded to a member of the Utah National Guard who distinguishes themselves by courageous conduct at the risk of their own life and personal safety, above and beyond the call of duty, while in the service of the state of Utah or the United States of America or its citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, it will now be our pleasure to hear from the Governor of the great state of Utah, Governor Gary R. Herbert.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be here with all of you in the Gold Room here at the capital of the state of Utah. We have a lot of opportunities to host people here in the Gold Room, heads of state, business leaders, religious leaders. None more solemn occasion what we have here today as we honor one of our own with the Utah Medal of Valor, demonstrating courage and fortitude under difficult circumstances. So I'm honored to be here as we have this opportunity to recognize one of our own here today. And I appreciate Senator Romney spending time with us today. It's good to see you here. And certainly General Turley and Command Sergeant Major Spencer Nielsen, our state senior enlisted leader. As I was thinking about what to say, and there's probably a lot of things that we can say and some that words don't express adequately. As we look at somebody who's been a great example of valor and sacrifice in our midst. We've already heard a little bit of recounting of the situation that took place in Las Vegas. We'll hear a little bit more about that later. But to run towards the challenge, towards the danger, as opposed to most of us have a natural instinct to run away, is something of the uniqueness of courage and valor that's been demonstrated by our recipient here today. And we appreciate Sergeant Brown and his efforts. As I thought about those who I've known and those that I've observed who've done that very same thing, I think in terms of those who laid down their lives on the altar of freedom. And come to mind two, there's more than that, but just two. We saw Ogden Mayor Brent Taylor, who was a major in the National Guard at the time, who his third tour volunteered to go to Afghanistan to help the people there. And did his best, in fact, and was very well received and appreciated by the Afghans and his service there. Left family and friends and his service as mayor to North Ogden to go there and do a third tour. That was above and beyond the call of duty, and in doing so, as most all of us know, lost his life in that exercise. We had Elk Ridge native Cody James, who I knew his family members growing up, and again, U.S. Army medic in Afghanistan in 2013, who as a medic rushed to render aid to his injured fellow soldiers, and in the process of doing so, gave his life to save the lives of many others in that particular situation, and paid with his own life. I also think of the service and the sacrifice of many of our men and women in uniform today. And maybe not in as remarkable instances that are maybe as newsworthy, but the subtle efforts they make of service and sacrifice that make such a difference in people's lives. Sometimes we don't appreciate that or don't notice them, but those efforts of protecting the legacy that we have here at Utah, the heritage we have as Americans, protecting the freedom that's given to us by our Constitution each and every day that they serve, whether they're on duty or off duty, is a remarkable example of service and sacrifice that our military people show us day by day. This building itself, to me, is a vision, an example of vision and sacrifice. Some of you know the history of Utah, but we were 106 years ago when this building was built. We were one of only 2 states that did not have a capital. And so the state, the leaders at the time, wanted to have a capital. They had a vision for what needed to happen, and their vision was to have something quite enormous, large, and ornate. That was not without controversy, but they had a vision, and here's the important part: they had the courage to implement the vision. Sometimes we as elected officials don't have the vision, and much less the courage to implement the vision that's necessary. Again, I think those virtues that we represent here today is what allowed us to have this beautiful Capitol building. When they said to the folks that were critical at the time, we're not building for what we are today, we're building for what we can become tomorrow. Again, our military folks, men and women, really have a vision and the courage to make sure that we have better tomorrows than we have today. And that's an example of all this can follow. I'll just recount just a little bit here of Sergeant Chasen Brown's efforts in attending Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas on October the 1st of 2017. He was a specialist at that time. But you can imagine being thrust into a situation that's not predictable. It just suddenly appears on the horizon as we have a gunman they're starting to fire from one of the hotel rooms with an modified automatic rifle at the concert goers down below. Under continuous fire, Sergeant Brown, who was a member of our field artillery, 2nd Battalion 222 field artillery, instinctively chose to run towards the danger as opposed to away to it, and rendered aid to the wounded people there. And even though he had an imminent threat of his own life, he actually suffered a bullet hole through his T-shirt. Over the ensuing hour and a half, Sergeant Brown assessed the casualties, assisted with the evacuation efforts, rendered first aid as his training applied, been given to him, and applied improvised and pressure dressings made from victims' clothing, and helped emergency responders where he could. Saved countless lives in that process. He followed a set of principles that helped his training, helped save lives and inspire others. These principles that we see exemplified here today are principles we all ought to take and incorporate in our own lives and see if we can't be better people. Those values are rooted in the Army values and the warrior ethos. I know for the time I spent 6+ years in the National Guard and my own basic training, again, those values I still incorporate and utilize today as the governor of the state of Utah. And I appreciate what I learned in the training I received. These are principles that we find Sergeant Brown. We have the principles that we shall aspire to emulate. Sergeant Brown's heroism, bravery, and incredible composure and self-resolve helped save the lives of many civilians that fateful day in Las Vegas. His valiant actions that day will continue to inspire Utahns and other Americans for generations to come. Therefore, it is fitting that we honor Sergeant Brown for his heroism and service, even though he probably is a little reluctant to be called a hero. So today, on behalf of the people of Utah and our 3.2 million population, I stand front and center to salute you, Sergeant Brown, for your outstanding service and your sacrifice. No one can fully repay you for the incredible valor and compassion that you displayed on that tragic day in Las Vegas. But I can assure you that all of us cannot and will not ever forget what you did and what you continue to do in defense of your fellow citizens and your service in our National Guard and military. So we're here to say, on behalf of the grateful state, and I, by extension, a grateful nation, say to you, thank you very much for your service. Now, we're going to read the citations.
Herbert, Sergeant Brown, post. Military personnel, attention to orders. This is to certify that the Adjutant General of Utah has awarded the Utah Medal of Valor to Sergeant Chasen D. Brown, Charlie Battery, 2nd Battalion, 222nd Field Artillery, for heroism in connection with a hostile mass shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada on October 1st, 2017. Sergeant Chasen Brown distinguished himself by exceptionally valorous action when a homicidal gunman opened fire on a large crowd of concert goers at a country music festival. In a barrage of gunfire, Brown used his Army-acquired skills to improvise tourniquets, pressure dressings, bandages, and litters, all while under constant fire himself. Sergeant Brown also narrowly escaped death or serious bodily harm himself, having found a bullet hole in his t-shirt he was wearing after the commotion ended. For more than an hour of continuous vigilance, Sergeant Brown was able to save the lives of over half a dozen critically wounded gunshot victims. His display of personal bravery and devotion to duty is in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflects great credit upon himself, Charlie Battery, 2nd Battalion, 222nd Field Artillery, the Utah National Guard, and the United States Army. Signed, October 1st, 2017, Tyler B. Smith, Brigadier General, the Assistant Adjutant General, Army. At ease. Thank you, Governor Herbert. Sergeant Brown, if you'll stay. Everyone else can be seated. Senator Romney will now present Sergeant Brown with a certificate. Senator Romney.
Well, if I had a certificate, I'd present it.
Or a handshake.
How about a handshake?
And I can't give you a handshake, but I can give you an elbow bump. Thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate your valor.
Thank you, Senator.